The Home Depot supports This Old House Radio Hour. You know what makes the holidays feel special? It's not just one big day, but a collection of moments, both simple and grand. It's the feeling you get when you walk up to your own front door and it just feels like home. Our friends at the Home Depot get that, and they know that home is where those moments truly come to life. 'Tis the season to share your joy, and whatever your style, you can find decor that does just that at the Home Depot. Think about decking your porch with jolly holiday decor. It's the first impression that says welcome and sets the stage for every memory you'll make this season. The perfect holiday decor truly makes the whole house feel festive, inside and out. The Home Depot is your go-to partner in making every holiday moment happen. Find pre-lit trees, holiday lights, decor, and more to get your holidays started at the Home Depot.
AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.
From LAist and APM, American Public Media, it's This Old House Radio Hour. I'm your host, Jen Largis. On today's show, we go over what you should know if the home you're looking to purchase is stigmatized or haunted.
If you're asking, have I seen ghosts or apparitions or Jerry swinging from the atrium? No, but you certainly feel them.
Ronan Day-Lewis remembers his mother's spooky house, where the basement held more than strange noises.
I always had this strong fear of the basement. I think I almost never went down there. It was always this mythic, scary place.
Planning a giant pumpkin or a life-size skeleton for your trick-or-treaters this year? We're going to share the right way to set up your Halloween decorations to keep the fright in the yard, not the ER. All of this, plus we're answering your home improvement questions at 877-864-7460. Coming up next. Welcome back to This Old House Radio Hour from LAist and APM. I'm your host, Jen Largis. On today's show, we're leaning into the spookier side of home ownership, especially if the home you're looking to purchase turns out to be a real haunted house. Realtor Cindy Hagley has helped buyers, sellers, and even consulted on transactions dealing with stigmatized properties, homes with reputations for being haunted, cursed, or even worse. She joins us now to talk through what you should ask before you sign on the dotted line. Cindy, welcome to This Old House Radio Hour.
I am excited to be here.
So can you tell us exactly what a stigmatized property is?
A stigmatized home is basically a home that has a negative public perception. It's not based on any physical defect at all. So it could be a psychological thing where there's been any kind of death. It could be reputational. Maybe you had somebody famous that lived there, or maybe a notorious criminal, or it could have been the site of some sort of well-known incident. It could also be paranormal activity, and it could also be environmental, like hazardous waste. So any of those elements would be stigmatized.
So who's buying a home like this?
There's several types of buyers. There's your normal buyers that are looking for any home, and there's something about this home that's caught their attention. You've got buyers out there that are specifically looking for a haunted home. Those scare me the most. They're usually a little unstable and a little unreliable when it comes to financing. You have movie producers and production companies that may want a home like that. Maybe it's cheaper to buy than to rent if it's stigmatized, especially if you can get a good deal on it. So there's a lot of buyers. I would say the majority of stigmatized homes that I've sold or consulted on are being sold to just normal people looking for a regular home.
How does a home get labeled as stigmatized? Obviously, if there was an event that happened there, that makes sense. But who decides, or is there some sort of necessary disclosure that needs to happen that would lead to this being included in a listing?
My definition of stigmatized home is something that is open and notorious. Let's take the state of California. I only have to disclose a death on the property if it's occurred within the last 3 years. I happen to be a realtor that discloses anything that I know because I just think it's the right thing to do. But maybe a seller has not disclosed to their agent that there's been a crime or something that needs to be disclosed, but maybe the neighborhood knows. And then you really have to do some digging to find out what happened. But if it's open and notorious and other people in the neighborhood or the area know about it, you need to disclose that.
Over the years, a specialty of yours has been buying and selling these homes and haunted properties. What are the lengths buyers go to so that they feel comfortable in a property that they're purchasing?
If I have a buyer looking at a home that I have listed that I am selling, I strongly urge them to do any and all that they need to do to feel comfortable with the purchase. If you need to bring in a priest, if you need to have a seance, if you need to spend a night or two in the home just to feel it, I urge them to do that. I'm finding that a lot of the younger generation really does not care. It's the older folks like 40, 50 plus that seem to have issues with it.
So how can a home being labeled as stigmatized, haunted, or otherwise, how can that affect the value?
So when I sell a home, stigmatized or otherwise, there's three things. It's price, product, and pitch. And the pitch being the marketing. So all those come into play, and there has to be a perfect balance there. But a stigmatized home, because your pool of buyers could be smaller, you're not going to have as many offers. The price could be lower. The more offers I have, the more I can negotiate and usually get a higher price. Of course, I'm blessed being in the state of California, so we have multiple offers because there's home shortages out here. But price can definitely be an impact. Also, if you have a home that's been on the market for like a year or two, and there's no open and notorious incident, that home, just because it's been on the market for a year or two, is also considered stigmatized in a way. Because why hasn't somebody bought that? I always tell my sales team, it's not what the number says, it's what you say about the number. For me, it's all about integrity. But there's a way to position the truth that makes it a little softer.
Are there any stories that have struck you over the years that hard to believe, but just felt interesting?
There was a home I consulted on in the Hollywood Hills. This is probably 10, 15 years ago. Beautiful home. It was on a hill, and it was your typical movie star home. In fact, a movie star had owned it at one point, back from the 50s and 60s. And the home was beautiful, and it had this reputation of being haunted. The owners didn't even want to walk in there. So my team and I, we trudge up the hill and we go in, and there's definitely something there. To me, it feels like this huge static electricity. No apparitions or anything, but just walking through the home. I mean, I think it was summertime. It was probably in the 80s or 90s, LA area. And there would be areas in the home that for no reason would be 20, 30 degrees. You would get goosebumps on your arms. It would be so cold. And there's no reason for that. There was one area of the home we walked in, and there's rays of sunshine shining in this area. Rays through the glass is usually a little warmer, and it is freezing there. If you're asking, have I seen ghosts or apparitions or Jerry swinging from the atrium? No, but you certainly feel them. And some people do see them.
What's the most extreme thing you've seen someone maybe do afterwards just to feel like they were getting a fresh start in a home?
Most of my buyers, if they have any kind of hesitation at all, will bring their clergy members in. And they'll also bring their family members in. They're looking for consensus. Do you think I'm crazy for buying this home? And a lot of these homes, the stigma, so much of it is reputation. These homes are perfectly fine. There are some that are not, but the majority are just fine.
In that case, do you feel like people are really looking at these homes more for maybe the lower price point?
I think buyers are looking for any deals they can get. So if it's a stigmatized home and they can get a deal on it, yes, they're going to go for it. I still encourage them to do the research, because just because the home's $100,000 or $200,000 below market doesn't mean that's the home for them. Are they buying for the right reasons? That's the bottom line. But yes, I have buyers out there looking for a deal. I have buyers out there that are crazy, that are looking for haunted homes that they can have seances in or whatever they do with these haunted homes.
Well, Cindy, this is so interesting, and we really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're very welcome.
Right now, we're tackling your DIY and home improvement questions. We've got an expert on site to help you get the job done right. Call us now at 877-864-7460. That's 877-864-7460, and we'll match you with the right expert. Hello, you're on This Old House Radio Hour.
Hi, this is Kevin Kalman from Denver, Colorado.
Hey, Kevin, what's your question today?
There is a really annoying squeak coming from the trim around my bathroom door that I think is attributable to settling. And I'm standing right here next to it, so let me demonstrate. So the door is open, and when I close it, it sounds like this. And that sound is coming from the hinge edge of the door where it meets the trim around the doorstop.
Interesting. Sorry, I'm calling in my detective here. I've got Zach Detmore, a general contractor for the show, here on the line listening with me.
So you're familiar with the terminology of doorstop?
Yeah.
Zach, what do you mean by doorstop?
So if you think of a door hanging in a frame, that frame is what we call the jamb. And there's a piece of molding in the middle of the jamb. Typically, it has sort of a profile on the outward-facing side, and it is a square cut on the door-facing side. And we call it a door stop because when the door swings in, it hits into that, and that's what stops the door from swinging further. So it's that little bit of molding, typically about 1 3/8 by 3/8 thick. Is the door rubbing on the doorstop?
Yeah, as I'm looking at it, I see there's like a wear spot in the paint on the door on the side that faces out when the door is open, not the wall side, that is. And that's the side that touches the doorstop.
So when you close the door, the face of the door is making contact with that skinny, like 3/8 of an inch strip of wood, and it's going.
That's a great job, Zach.
That's what it's doing.
What do you think, Jen? What would you do to fix this problem?
I feel like we're at a car mechanic where you walk in and you try to recreate the noise your car is making on the highway.
Yeah. Wooga, 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 wooga.
Oh, goodness. No, I was going to say, are we sure it's coming from that or is it coming from the hinge? But I hear what you're saying. What do you recommend?
2 options. Option first would be to take a knife and score the outside and the inside of the door stop on that side of the door and take a wooden block, take the door off, and then just hit the wooden block with a hammer to knock the door stop over about 1/8 of an inch, and then it won't rub and your noise will go away.
Okay. When you say score, you're talking about breaking the paint.
Ding, ding, ding. You got it.
Okay.
Because if you don't score it and you hit it, you may end up chipping the paint and creating a whole mess. So you're just sort of trying to control your smash.
Your smash.
And I think that's it. Then you close the door and you're good. If you're saying, Zach, I don't want to create all that work for myself. I'm lazy and I'm barely invested in this door. Then what you could do is try and loosen the hinges at the top and just trying to nudge the whole door with the hinge assembly away and then retighten the hinge. Just like that tiny bit of movement outward might be enough to get you from getting that rubbing. So you could try that first because that won't involve breaking out a paintbrush.
Okay. So I'm just concerned with your first solution. If I do break the paint and push the doorstop, will it not become loose? What will keep it in the new position?
So there's a nail holding it, and when you knock it, the nail's just going to sort of bend.
Ever so slightly.
Ever
such
so
a small
slightly.
amount, yeah.
But the only part of the doorstop that really needs to be strong is the strike side, because when you slam that side, the door is whacking into it and stopping the door from moving any further. On the hinge side, all it's really doing is blocking light so that when you're looking from the outside, you're not able to see the gap. So it doesn't really want to, once you hit it and paint it, it doesn't want to move. Now, certainly you could put another nail in it, but I'm trying to give you the easiest solution because I'm sure you have about as much free time as I do.
Yeah, those are 2 great solutions.
I think you got this. You got a bunch of tools at your disposal. One of these things will work.
Yeah. Okay. Well, sounds good. I'll try them.
All right. Good luck, Kevin Squeak. We'll talk soon.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
After the break, our experts are going to answer more of your home improvement and DIY questions. Call us at 877-864-7460. That's 877-864-7460. Coming up on This Old House Radio Hour from LAist and APM. Stay tuned. The Home Depot supports This Old House Radio Hour. You know, here at This Old House, we love a big project, but as the holidays approach, our attention turns to getting the house ready for those special family moments. And if you're anything like us, you believe it's never too early to deck the halls. The holidays aren't just a season, they're a collection of moments. And at the Home Depot, they know that home is where those moments truly come to life. As the #1 expert in all things home, they're here to be your go-to partner to help create your holiday vision. Take a look at their pre-lit trees. They have options that fit any style and budget. Plus, their pre-lit trees are easy to assemble in just a few clicks, which makes setup a breeze. And for the outside, you can find decor that brings holiday joy to your yard and build your collection year after year. It's about creating that curb appeal that welcomes everyone home. Ready to kick off the holidays? Find everything you need to get your holidays started with the Home Depot.
AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.
You're listening to This Old House Radio Hour from LAist and APM. I'm your host, Jen Largis. Right now we're tackling your DIY and home improvement questions. Call us now at 877-864-7460. That's 877-864-7460, and we'll match you with the right expert. Hello, you're on This Old House Radio Hour.
Hey, Jan, this is Wayne Mahern. I'm from Pendleton, Indiana. I just had a question about a porch roof that I'm putting in, or porch ceiling.
Absolutely, Wayne. What's your question?
The question is I put on a spar urethane a few years ago, and the finish has failed, and it's on the underside of a porch roof, and it's a pine roof, a pine ceiling, and I was just kind of curious to see what kind of product that I could put on to replace this that might last a little longer.
Absolutely. Well, to help you answer that question, we've got Zach Detmore, a general contractor for This Old House, and Mauro Henrique, a painter for the show, both here to help us out. All right, Mauro, what do you think?
Number one, if the product that was used was specific for outdoor areas, for the exterior.
Yeah, it was recommended for outdoor.
What do you see when you look at it?
Well, when you see it, if we look at it, it looks like the whatever's on the surface of the wood is pretty much deteriorated and gone. So it's basically, I guess, sand everything off of it and try to recoat it with something else. It's just I don't know why it's physically failing on me.
Was anything on that ceiling before you applied the urethane? Was that any finish?
No, there's a brand. This is raw wood.
Raw wood. Wow.
I coated the wood before I put the ceiling up, so it's been coated on both sides.
So you applied the original coat to the bare wood before you installed the ceiling, and once you put it up,
Correct.
Now you're noticing that, is it peeling, flaking, bubbling? What's it doing as it comes off?
It's just kind of disintegrating. I mean, it basically is wearing off, kind of.
How's the weather? One of the main factors, too, when you work with this kind of stuff is how was the weather? Was cold? It was too hot? Was humid? It was like...
When I applied it?
Yes.
Yeah, when I applied it, it was summertime, and I have a garage, so I set the boards on so it could dry before I put it out.
It sounds like, unlike most people, Wayne really did a lot right in this case.
Yeah.
He did the back of the boards. It was prepped properly.
Yeah.
The weather was good. I will say I feel like there's spar urethanes out there that are sort of direct to consumer that you can get at a home center, and then there's sort of spar urethanes that are available to like yacht builders.
When I every 3-4 years I do all Tom Silver's garage door, and that's the stuff I learned from years back. And then once I got to that stuff, that's the best stuff that I use and will last. All right.
Mara, what type of finish should he replace this with that hopefully has a more proven track record for clear on the wood?
I like to go from semi-gloss to gloss because it offers more UV resistant and easy to clean if you have to, easy to wash it off. That's what I like. I like the glosser the better.
Okay.
Right.
So is a spar varnish better than a spar urethane?
They both work almost the same thing. The spar varnish is a little more resistant to more of the elements out there. This is what like Zach was saying, there's people use on boats, it's like a kind of a marine stuff. That's a really hard finish, and it's thicker. And this is what I would go for outdoor areas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're more expensive.
They cost a little bit.
I think it's worth it.
Yeah.
When you have these types of things.
See,
and typically you buy them from like a boat company, like, right? You don't get it at a paint store.
No, you don't get it. So when I order my stuff, it comes from a different state. It comes
out on the ocean somewhere.
It's out on the ocean somewhere.
Right, yeah.
You don't find it at a paint store. I look for it, but no, we only have this. So we don't have that, what you're looking for. So
considering the amount of time it can take you to sand it off, it's worth a little bit more to put a better product on there just to keep you from having to redo it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like I said, if you're seeing some dark spots, it's on that ceiling, it looks like it lost the resistance for all the outdoor stuff. So going through the wood and, it's like the UV, everything. That's number one. When you see dark spots, you can see UV discoloration.
Okay, yeah.
I would say resend the whole thing, and that's what I would do.
Go with the thick stuff next time. Sorry about that. That's so annoying.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, well, I appreciate you guys' input, and hope it'll be a pretty good project for me. So it'll be a while.
I think it will be. It's a lot of sanding.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be a good shoulder workout. You'll look great come summer.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. Good luck with it,
All
Wayne.
right, good luck, Wayne.
Okay. Thanks for your input.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Call us now at 877-864-7460. That's 877-864-7460. Hello, you're on This Old House Radio Hour.
Hi, this is Fritz Hoffman. I'm calling in from Waterford, Connecticut. How you doing?
Hey, Fritz, what's your question today?
Well, so I've got a detached garage that I want to turn into an ADU. And it's 22 by 23 feet. And what I want to do is I want to remove the rafter ties. And typically, so I'd have a vaulted ceiling. Typically, when you do that, I think you have to put in a beam under the roof ridge to support the roof. My question is, can I install a wall instead of a beam? And the wall would be set off of the ridge by about 2.5 feet.
All right. We've got Zach Detmore, general contractor for the show, here to help. Zach, what do you think?
How wide is this building, Fritz?
It's 22 by 23. Going the non-ridge, it's 23 feet.
Got it. And you're envisioning this is sitting on the slab, then going up to a second floor, or is it just one floor?
Well, it's 2 floors, but the lower floor is not going to be part of this.
So I'll give you my my annoying answer, which is I can't tell you because you need to be either an architect or a structural engineer to make this call, because obviously there are circumstances outside my control, and I don't know all the details about the hardware involved and the snow loading and all of that. I will say whenever I contact a structural engineer, they say, put a ridge beam in. And I'm like, oh no, I was calling about a window. And they're like, while you're at it, put a ridge beam in. So
Yeah.
go ahead and let's put a ridge beam in there. You know what I mean? So they're going to overbuild it if you ask. And obviously they have to cover themselves for liability.
Zach, how much does it cost to consult with a structural engineer on something like this? Is it super expensive?
So, I mean, my prices are going to be reflecting New Jersey, which isn't drastically different than, New England. But my guess is this conversation is at least $800 and probably shouldn't surpass $2,800 is what I would estimate to figure out what needs to be done. I think one thing that's important to talk about is your goals. If you just say, hey, I'm building this thing, what do you think for structure? Design it. Don't do that. Say, my goals are to create this type of thing. And if I build this wall, is that, if I do it in this way, is that sufficient? Because then you're sort of setting the expectation of what you'd like. And then if it has to be a ridge beam, then they're clarifying why that is.
So you say it takes the liability off of you and puts it on somebody else. Not true liability. It's just peace of mind. Or is it true liability?
It's true liability. So as a contractor in New Jersey, there's no threshold to get into this. There's no testing. There's no oversight. So how New Jersey manages that is if you would like to pull a permit and you're doing it as a professional, it must be stamped and sealed by an architect or a structural engineer, even if you're showing that it meets the building code. The only way around that is a homeowner can pull the permit themselves if it's a single family home and do the work themselves and provide the plans themselves. So in this case, it would be a homeowner taking the liability off of their shoulders. But in my case, I have not been to school for that. I don't have the testing or the certificate to really speak to the structural components of it. So it is about liability, because if he took my advice and built it and it collapsed, technically I would be, involved in that. But legally, I'm the wrong person to ask. So there's sort of carpenters and framers like me. We have the experience because we've read what the engineer says enough that we're sort of like, oh, in general, we built something similar and this is how we do it, but we can't design these things or consult on them.
Yep. Got it.
Any suggestion how to find a structural engineer?
That's a good question. I would say if you have, typically I start with architects because they're a little easier to find sometime. And I say, who do you work with? Some architects will specify structural, some won't. That's how I've made connections with structural engineers, is typically doing that. Or, if there's an architect who they'd be capable of doing it themselves for something as simple as this, because we're talking about a very small structure. So the loads are, relatively inconsequential. So I think someone would be able to make quick work of this.
I usually call the wrong people and then ask him for the recommendation on the right person.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
If you don't
Call
do
an
this,
architect.
do you recommend someone?
Yeah, but I would definitely get someone just to give you that peace of mind that once you are done investing all your money in this, that you're not going to have sagging or cracking when you have a snow load on it or the structure's been in use.
Fritz, thank you for the call.
Thanks for your time. Thanks for all the advice. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Our pleasure. Take care.
All right.
Call us now at 877-864-7460. 877-864-7460. Hello, you're on This Old House Radio Hour.
Hey, it's Tom Sullivan. I'm calling from Elfin Forest, California.
Hey, Tom, what's your question today?
Well, I have a very old 1962 Adobe home, and the brick fireplace, we have a lot of roaring fires. The bricks seem to be shrinking, and this is a common thing with Adobe. Apparently, the organic material shrinks up a little, and the stones are getting loose around the bricks, around the fireplace. And I'm just wondering, is there some way to fix this, or do I just have a decorative fireplace the rest of my life?
Absolutely. We have Zach Detmore, a general contractor for This Old House, and Mark McCullough, the mason for the show, here to help. Mark, what do you think he can do?
Well, this is a great question. I really love Adobe fireplaces, so This call should be good.
Cool.
What I think you're saying is it producing gaps between each brick that are not or are larger than the mortar joints?
Well, the mortar joints are pretty big. They're about an inch wide.
Yes, that's adobe, yep.
Yeah, you could slip a piece of paper between the mortar, which is just cement,
yes,
and the brick itself.
So what's happening is these adobe fireplaces get super duper hot. The brick material, it does expand, and then it contracts, and that's what is causing that gap. I do like your idea of infilling it. You wouldn't know what type of mortar. Would it be type N, type S, type M?
I don't believe it's mortar. This was a homemade house, and all the mortar it looks like it's just standard cement.
Yeah, okay. So that's more than likely type N, which is built for a little bit of flexibility. But other than taking those joints out and doing what we call a repoint, I don't think there's anything on the market that you could really use and be confident with.
Sure.
The way these fireplaces are designed, they do get super hot. And Zach, you can think brick oven or beehive oven even. We have a lot of beehive ovens out here. And the adobe style was almost a mimic. And they were meant to get super hot. And again, if you use the wrong mortar or the wrong materials, you're going to get this flex that sometimes when things cool down will leave gaps. And I think that's what's happening to you, Tom. I was going to ask Zach if he's had any experience with anything adobe.
Zero experience.
All right.
Especially with a fireplace.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I have 100% nothing to add to this. I'm sorry.
So, well, you know what? The reason I do have a little bit of knowledge about the adobe because it's so different than what we do out here, and it's a bit of a fascination for me. So I do know how they work, and I know why they were built and what they were meant to do. I think that this flex that is causing your problem doesn't go away because of the construction. So the answer may just be grind out existing head joints and bed joints and just replace the mortar with fresh mortar and just be very conscious of the mix. I know you might hire someone to do it, but, have a conversation that sounds just like this one with a local mason. And I bet he
Well, one of the big problems is the mortar or the cement is harder than the adobe stones. So if we start chiseling out that mortar, the stone will just disintegrate. It could be that I just now it's just the half U or the big ring around the face of the fireplace. So I could replace those with a fire type brick or maybe even a veneer type brick if they're fire resistant. That was my thought.
Okay.
Or injecting a heat-resistant epoxy, which I have yet to research, but I was just hoping maybe somebody or you guys might know about that.
So the heat-resistant mortar, to me, is not a proven product. There is what we call refractory cement, and that's what we would use with fire brick. It's very messy, very hard to work with. You definitely have to be a pro to work with. It sets up quickly and doesn't give you the ability to clean very well. And once it hardens, it's there, and there's really no cleaner to get it off. Nothing acidic that would take it off. So, but if that mortar is harder than the brick or the stone, this refractory cement is not going to help. That's why I didn't mention it originally. But we do run into quite a bit of mortar being harder than bricks. Vice versa isn't so bad. But if you have a mortar that's harder than the material, the stone or the brick, there's not any ability for the movement. And that's when you see this type of thing happening. So
yeah,
I do like your thought about the fire brick. I do like that.
Well, the whole inside of the chimney and the box is fire brick.
Yeah.
It's just this decorative frame around the edge that's loosening up.
Yeah.
And we always sit with all the kids around the fireplace right where it would collapse on us. So for the last year, it's been a decorative fireplace. But I'm going to find a mason and see what their opinion is because there's a lot of adobe house brick out in San Diego area.
Yep. Exactly.
Well, I appreciate the input. I really do. Love the show.
Well, I'm glad I was able to offer you so much help today. Thank you too, Mark.
Yes, well, you're completely welcome, Zach. You and I may do an Adobe together one day, so this will help. Thanks, Tom.
If I have another 114-year-old building I'm working on, if you ever want another show.
Great. Why don't you go ahead and bring that to New Jersey? We'll do it.
Thanks so much, folks.
Thanks, Tom.
When we come back, Ronan Day-Lewis shares his spooky encounters with the other side. That's coming up on This Old House Radio Hour from LAist and APM. Welcome back to This Old House Radio Hour from LAist and APM. I'm your host, Jen Largis. Coming up, how to set up your outdoor decorations the right way, keeping the spooky fun in your yard and you out of the ER. But first, director Ronan Day-Lewis takes us to his mother's mysterious Connecticut home, where he spent summers as a child. Back then, the house seemed almost alive. Strange noises, odd shadows, and a sense of mystery everywhere.
My name is Ronan Day-Lewis. I'm a painter and filmmaker, and this is my old house. When I think back on my grandparents' old farmhouse, it's kind of a collage of different rooms and different spaces, but also the environment around it. When you first arrived at the house, you came up a little driveway, and from the front it looked very narrow, and then when you went in and out into the yard, it revealed itself to be a lot wider. 3-floor house. It was surrounded by a forest. There was a pond down a hill from the house that was really meaningful to me that I spent a lot of time at. The pond was a daily ritual as a kid. I would just every day be down there. My dad and I would do these dawn swims in the pond, and then there's also a ton of leeches in the pond, so you'd come out of the pond just like rows of leeches hanging off of you. There was a little dock on the pond that was floating, so you could get on there and dive in. It was the activity in the summers where you'd be pretty much all day. The sound of the bullfrogs was deafening down at the pond. This constant backdrop. And at nights, I remember hearing the howls of coyotes. There were a lot of coyotes in the area, and it was pretty terrifying as a kid. I rarely went in the woods, and I think that contributed to the mystique of them. I was always observing them from the pond, like you could see the tree line, and sometimes we'd walk around the edge of the pond, and I was always really fascinated in just the kind of geography of the area. It changed dramatically in the winter. I remember just this really still, silent, kind of stark place where there's just a thick blanket of snow over everything. The sound was so deadened and everything was frozen. And then in summer, it was teeming with life, so alive and loud. And the house felt in harmony with nature. But the winter had its own sadness and starkness. When I would first walk through the door in the kitchen, there was black and white checkered floor, which I remember really vividly. And there was this big wooden table that my grandfather had made actually a long time ago that was in the middle of the room, and a mobile hanging over the table. There was a few different drawings that my mom had made. There was this one etching that was of a snake eating its own tail, this circular snake that I remember being really fascinated with. And if you went out the door, you could see from the living room down the hill where the pond was. There were a lot of little funny details in the house. There was this landing halfway up this flight of stairs between the second and the third floor that had this octagonal window that I remember really having psychic power. It was a house that always felt like it could contain a lot of hidden compartments. That landing became this charged space for me. Growing up, I would sleep on the second floor, and then my parents would be up on the third floor, and I'd get scared in the middle of the night and run up to their room. But halfway up the stairs, I had to go past that landing I was talking about, which had a poster on it of my mom's first film. This red image with this fallen angel and these two terrified-looking children, and it just scared me. I experienced the angel as like an actual guardian figure that I had to cross past. So it was always this terrifying thing of, oh, I want to go upstairs because I'm afraid, but then to get upstairs, I had to go through this gauntlet. One of the nights where I'd gotten scared and run up to my parents' room, I was lying in bed between them, and up on the top level, it's kind of an attic, so you see the chimney going up, and there's this brick wall. And I was looking at the brick wall, and I swear the brick started moving towards me, moving and coming closer, and breathing, coming closer to me. At night, the house would really transform for me. It had this haunted quality at times. The living room, I almost remember thinking of it as a different place at night, where I would kind of know to avoid it, because there were all these mask-like objects that I guess had belonged to my grandparents that always felt like they were kind of leering at me at night and felt very alive. I was always very aware of my mom's childhood superimposed over mine there, and in all the different settings and surrounding the house and inside it. And she was convinced growing up that the devil lived in the basement, which actually gave rise to her first film, where this girl that starts to have these encounters with this fallen angel, with Lucifer, and she starts to think that Lucifer lives in this house. What gave rise to that terror for her was this little object that her mother had that she saw one time that was like a devil. It was like some kind of little totemic object that planted this seed for her and grew this notion that the devil was just always there in the basement. It's funny because even before she told me that, I always had this strong fear of the basement. I think I almost never went down there. It was always this mythic, scary place. Even though it had this haunted quality at times, it was also very comforting and safe. After my grandfather died, my parents did this renovation of the house. I came in and saw how it was different. I just burst into tears. Like, I just had this really visceral reaction. There was something about it, the idea of constancy. This house is just an eternal thing that's never going to change. And then suddenly the bed looked different, and it freaked me out. I think I might spend the rest of my life trying to recreate that house in whatever environment I'm living in. And it's not just the house itself that I would love to recreate some feeling of or some version of, but a specific time in that house and a specific version of that house, I guess. My mom ended up selling it a few years ago, and I sometimes think about going back and visiting and just looking at it. It's not the house itself that I want to see in a way.
That was Ronan Day-Lewis. His feature film Anemone, starring Daniel Day-Lewis, is out now from Focus Features. Halloween wouldn't be complete without the decorations, right? But how do you make sure that the spooky setup doesn't turn into a real horror show? This Old House electrician Heath Eastman is here with a Halloween safety tutorial to keep your lights, plugs, and props secure and shock-free. Heath, thanks for being here.
Happy to be here, Jen. Good to talk to you.
So as an electrician, can you look at someone who's decorated for Halloween and say, whoa, that decoration setup looks dangerous?
Sometimes. I mean, until you get really close, not too often. But I mean, some of them you see where the extension cords are just so out there. So many of them strung across. You can tell they're indoor extension cords. You can tell they're stretched way too far, way too many things plugged in. Especially for me, when I see that kind of setup with a lot of the inflatables that draw a fair amount for the motors, it's like, that's not great. Or if you see the classic Clark Griswold, when you go in the garage and there are about 20 little pieces plugged together, like, we have better ways to go around that now.
A snarl of wires, yeah.
Yeah, that's usually glaring.
So for people who are decorating their home for Halloween, what are some safety rules that they should keep in mind?
So one of the first things you want to do is, especially if you're dragging out lights and equipment that you've already had before, is go through everything and inspect it. I know it seems a little tedious, but it doesn't take much with some weather outside for things to start getting cracks in them, for bulbs to be broken, for damage to occur. So take a few minutes and go through the lights, through the decorations, through the cords, and make sure everything's intact. There's no strands, no broken jackets. Everything looks clean. Even a broken bulb that still has filaments sticking out, you want to make sure everything is taken care of and addressed ahead of time.
So the injury comes from if you were to touch an exposed wire, obviously very dangerous, but also I would suspect maybe water getting in there could cause a short or cause other problems.
You're exactly right. Yeah, that was the next thing we're going to address is now picture having these cracked cords or damaged cords laying in an area of ground where it's either raining or covered in snow. Now we've made the condition that much worse. So that's the second thing we want to approach. We want to make sure we plug it into a GFCI receptacle outside, something that has protection. But what it stands for is ground fault circuit interrupter. And how they work is they kind of make sure that all the current stays in the system. So if it sees a certain amount being utilized by a device, it wants to see that certain amount kind of coming back in and being measured again. If it sees something as small as a 5 milliamp difference, it knows that current is probably going somewhere it shouldn't. It's getting outside of its containment. Then it trips that GFCI, giving you protection. It keeps it knowing that the current is not staying contained and it's going somewhere else. So we want to shut that system down for safety. The hard part is when we start running some of these lights, you may not have a receptacle in a convenient location. And we see people open, screen porch windows, living room windows, something else, and plug them in inside there. We have a couple of issues. One, it's probably not GFCI protected for all the equipment outside in the rain and the weather and possible damage. And if you're running it through a window, if you had storm windows, if you had something else with a sharper edge, and you tend to close those and try and seal it up for the weather, now you've got metal resting on an extension cord that you don't want to have. So we really want to try and avoid all that if possible.
So plug everything in outside.
Yeah, definitely want to plug in everything outside. The other things I've seen that might be okay if you have a detached garage or a garage that has a door that's open, a lot of times those are protected. We can come off of something like this, somewhere where there isn't a lot of traffic.
So I'm getting ready to plug everything in. I grab an extension cord. I don't know if it's rated for outdoors. How dangerous is it to use that extension cord?
Yeah, don't use the indoor ones outside.
Don't do it. Okay.
So you can see them. A lot of time the indoor ones are only a 2-wire. They don't have the 3 prongs. So they'll have just 2 prongs instead of having the ground. And it's very thin. And that's fine for very light-duty indoor stuff. And the other thing to check is if you're not sure that it's rated for outdoors, if you can read some of the lettering on the jacket, we want to look for a W in that lettering. So it may say something like an SJW or SJTO or something on it. But if it has a W, it tells you that it's designed for a wet location, meaning it's safe to use outdoors.
And if I have a short extension cord that doesn't quite reach where I want to go, how bad is it to link 2 together?
Listen, we're all going to do what we do for holiday lights to make it work. Let's keep it safe. My obvious recommendation is going to be to get a longer extension cord. The less connections we have, the better off we are. But it's not the end of the world. It's just a temporary application. As long as we're starting from a safe point of GFCI protection and kind of working forward, we should be okay.
So if you are going to plug 2 things together and there's that connection just exposed outside, is there a way that you can protect them?
So they do make these little pieces, extension cord safety covers. So when you plug the 2 devices together, the 2 cords, it's a little piece that clips over it. It has rubber gaskets inside. It keeps it sealed together and keeps the moisture out and keeps everything plugged together tightly. So it doesn't pull apart if you start moving it around, and it doesn't let water in. It's an inexpensive, great little tool to have when you're putting these lights together to keep everything operating and everyone safe outside. We still have to pay attention, though, to how many things we plug into that.
Okay, so now we have the cords lined up, and you're saying we need to be mindful of how much we're plugging in.
Yeah.
How do we know what it can hold?
One of the guidelines I would say, if it's older lights that aren't LED especially, don't plug more than maybe 3 strands in together based on how much power they truly use. We just don't know. When you're buying newer ones and you can kind of pay attention, there'll be a label on there that'll tell you how much power that uses.
So if you're thinking about going out and purchasing some new items this year, is there anything specific that you should be looking for?
You want to look for good quality items. If you see something for sale at, a big box store or locally for X price, and you find it online for 25% of that, there's a reason. Chances are, it's not the same thing. One of the big things to look for, especially in light fixtures or anything that's electrical, we want to make sure that it has some kind of listing that's approved, whether it's a UL listing or some other approved listing agency. A lot of the things you buy online that are much less money don't have any kind of listing, haven't gone through safety testing, so it's something you really want to try and stay away from. That little tag tells you that it's been tested, it's good to use in the location that's designated for indoor or outdoor, and that it's as safe as it's going to get.
In the last couple of years, I have seen an explosion of people anchoring like really big decorations, going huge with some of these skeletons and spooky figures, blow up ornaments, things like that. What do we need to know to make sure that those are installed safely?
I love a lot of those things, like some of the giant skeletons you see. Those 12-footers and everything going with
They're
them.
huge.
It's great. My biggest question is, where do you put it?
We have the people in our neighborhood who don't put their Halloween skeleton away. They leave it out year round now. It's become like a neighborhood staple.
Is it one of those big 12-footers or is it just a regular skeleton?
Oh, it is.
It
sure is. It is.
Now he's just there.
The neighbors actually had to, I think, sell their house around Halloween so that the people buying didn't know this was a year-round staple.
No, I swear they take it down. The neighbor's fine.
Yeah, right? Seems totally normal. Okay, so we have a ton of these. How do you install them safely?
Okay, so installing them safely, the manufacturer is going to have recommendations. And a lot of the inflatables are going to come with tie-downs. Use the tie-downs, please. They're there for a reason. You'd be surprised. You don't need that strong of a wind for a lot of these things to get knocked over and cause other issues for you. The biggest thing with a lot of these lights, too, and general holiday lighting, don't leave it unattended. Don't leave it on overnight while you're sleeping, just in case something would happen, especially with the inflatables, with the blowers, the motors. Set up a timer, set up some kind of smart control if you can, whether it's the photo cell that turns off after a certain amount of something. We want to make sure we do those. So when you're doing those bigger decorations, pay attention to how much power they're using. Chances are you're not going to plug everything into one receptacle. So we want to find a couple of different circuits that go to different things to spread this around a little bit and make sure it's all secured properly. I can't tell you how many I've seen where someone's excited and just throws it out there and can't wait to see it blown up. And then the next day, it's on its side. It's down to the backyard. Something happened when we got the windstorm.
Absolutely. So let's say you plug everything in, you followed all the rules, but the decorations are not getting any power. I always think of that Clark Griswold moment where you just plug the two pieces together, you think it's going to be amazing, and nothing happens. So what would be some common reasons that things aren't lighting up?
All right, there's a few things that come to mind when that comes up. One, they actually showed, if you walked in, he hit the switch, and then they all came on, turned the switch off, they all went off. It's not too common with an outdoor receptacle, but it is possible that you might have an outdoor receptacle that's controlled by a switch inside somewhere. Who knows what it was originally designed for or at a specific use, but that is one option. So make sure you check that. Second one's going to be, did the GFCI trip? Or does it need to be reset? Mm-hmm. Is it a breaker or is it a receptacle? And again, keep in mind the receptacle may be somewhere else inside the house or outside protecting that. So you want to find that. The other one we run into, and I never knew this at first until I had to chase down an issue in my own house for the holidays, where a lot of the lights come with, in the cord end, the cord cap ends, there's a little fuse in there. I didn't know that. I saw the bag of fuses come with the lights. I'm like, I don't know what these are for. Until finally one year they didn't work.
You got to have tweezers to change them.
The thing is so small. I can't break out the glasses, hit there with a tiny screwdriver, try and get the thing out. But a lot of times that first fuse pops in that first set and you don't know it. And that can cause an issue. So those couple of things are, what you're going to find that don't let the lights light up when you want them to.
Well, Heath, thanks for being here. We appreciate your expertise.
Great to talk to you, Jen.
We're nearly at the end of the show, which means it's time for my favorite tool.
Hey Jen, it's Jen Nawada, landscape contractor on This Old House. And I just wanted to talk about one of my favorite tools today. If you're in the garden, don't use scissors. You're going to need pruners at all times, whether you're deadheading a perennial or a woody shrub. One of my favorite tools, it's the bypass pruner. I have it on me pretty much at all times because something always needs to be pruned. The bypass pruners also have a spring, so I squeeze it and it opens up. So there's a little bit of resistance. It bounces open if you want to get right into the crotch of the plant when you're pruning a woody shrub, and it just slices it perfectly, as long as you keep them sharpened.
We'll see you next week on This Old House Radio Hour. Our show is distributed by and co-produced by LAist Studios and APM, American Public Media. This Old House Radio Hour was created and produced by Ember 20. Listen to new episodes of the podcast every Tuesday on your app of choice. You can follow This Old House on all the socials at This Old House, all one word. We'll see you next week.
AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.